Hello, my name is John Elaine. I'm your condominium manager. My purpose is to manage the corporation's business, ensure the maintenance and good operation of the common elements and buildings, equipment, answer any questions that the owners, tenants, and vendors have with respect to the corporation's declaration, bylaws, rules, and regulations, manage staff, and report a summary of the status of the work completed and propose new business for the approval of the board of directors. I'm here I am here to assist you in understanding the financial statements. In front of you is a copy of the financial statement of Ontario Condominium Corporation number 123, fiscal period April 1st, 2019 to March 31st, 2020, for the month of December 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019, prepared by the accountant of Ontario Condominium Corporation number 123. On page 2 is the financial statements table of contents, which identifies the reports contained in the statements of financial position. On page 3 is the statement of financial position as of December 31st, 2019. This page contains an accounting of the assets, liabilities, operating fund, and reserve fund of the corporation. In other words, it signifies the financial health of the corporation. It is a simplified balance sheet set out in a table format with the name of the accounts on the left and the value of the account amounts on the right. At the bottom of each table is the sum total of the table. Assets is the money in the bank, the liabilities represents the money owed by the corporation, and the last table is the fund balances. If an account amount or value is in the parentheses, it means it's a negative value. Please note that the final accounting at the bottom of the table notes a positive balance. This means the corporation is in a healthy position. On page 4 is the classified statement of operation comparative as of December 31st, 2019. It is a general ledger comparative analysis of an actual expenditure or receipt against the forecasted budget accounted for the current month and by year to date. The variance for each period, the current budget versus the previous budget. The variance report is extrapolated from this comparative GL. On page 8 is the owner AR aging summary as of December 31st, 2019. This page is an accounting summary report of the corporation's accounts receivables. Monies collected by the corporation from the owners for their common element fees and any and all other unpaid outstanding fees. The table also provides an aged 30, 60, 90, and 120 days analysis of unpaid fees. Indicates those accounts which require collections, lien notice, and lien status. On page 9 is the accounts payable schedule as of December 31st, 2019. An accounts payable schedule is a list of outstanding invoices and credits to vendor/suppliers that the corporation owes money to. On page 10 is the accrued liabilities as of December 31st, 2019. The accrued liabilities are expenses incurred by the corporation but has not yet received the invoices. To properly account for the liabilities in the month that the service is incurred, the amount payable is entered in the list of accrued liabilities so that the expense is properly reflected in the correct month. The accrued liabilities is paid from the operating fund. On page 11 is the reserved accrued liabilities as of December 31st, 2019. Similar to the accrued liabilities, reserve accrued liabilities are expenses incurred by the corporation to be paid from the reserve fund but has not yet received the invoices. To properly account for the liabilities in the month that the service is incurred, the amount payable is entered in the list of reserve accrued liabilities so that the expense is properly reflected in the correct month. The difference between the two different accrued liabilities is from which fund is it to be paid from. The reserve accrued liabilities is paid from the reserve fund. On page 12 is the statement of reserve fund as of December 31st, 2019. Similarly to the statement of financial position, essentially a simplified balance sheet snapshot of the health of the reserve fund. This page contains an accounting of the reserve fund contributions, reserve fund interest, and reserve fund expenses of the corporation. This balance sheet also provides a current month and year-to-date totals. The fund contribution and interest income is positive balance in the bank. The liabilities represent expenses that are to be paid from the fund as opposed to being paid from the operating fund. At the bottom, the fund's balance. If an amount or value has a parenthesis, it means the amount is a negative value. Please note that in the current month, there is a negative balance. Please note that it is a negative only in the current month. The year-to-date total is a positive balance. This means the corporation is in a healthy position. On page 13 is the general ledger transaction as of December 31st, 2019. The general ledger transaction is a complete master accounting record of all financial transactions of the corporation during a set period, and the data is used to prepare the income statements, balance sheet, and other financial reports, the GL. Is organized by date and account type, record, and monitors the corporation's financial activity, details them in the sub-ledger accounts and the account activity, details every in and out of the transaction as it occurs. The expense and revenues are divided into operating and non-operating revenues and expenses, and the accounts are debited and credited to record transactions throughout the year. The main type of GL accounts are as follows: assets accounts, liability accounts, equity accounts, revenue accounts, expense accounts. On page 27 is the trial balance. It is a report that is an important document that is used to prepare balance sheets and other financial statements. It is an important document as it is used to check the accuracy of the transaction data entered in the ledger accounts. It ensures that the debit and credit column totals of the GL accounts match the assets the auditors and accountants to spot accounting errors. On page 31 is the reconciliation detail, operating bank. Bank reconciliation is a report that determines whether your operating account balances on your balance sheet is similarly reflected on your bank statement. A comparative reconciliation of the two documents is required to accurately reflect the corporation has available cash flow. The review also identifies any long-standing items that have yet to clear the bank and to make any necessary changes if required. On page 34, reconciliation detail, reserve bank account. Similarly to the reconciliation detail operating bank, the reserve bank account will require a reconciliation as well because the reserve fund has its own account but is considered an asset of the condominium corporation. The current amount of the reserve fund should match the balance as recommended by the reserve fund study at prescribed time. The reserve fund serves an important function in making sure that the property is structurally sound and that the condo corporation is financially secure. A reserve fund is a distinct fund maintained by the condo corporation that can only be used for the purpose of the major repair and replacements of the common elements and assets of the condo corporation. A reserve fund can be likened to a savings account that a family might use for emergency or planned expenditures related to the upkeep of their home. It is important that the condominium board manage one of the corporation's greatest financial investment with care. Contributions is mandatory by the owners through their own expense fees. The reserve fund is calculated on the expected repair and replacement cost and the life expectancy of the common elements and assets of the condo corporation. This amount would be determined by the reserve fund study and the plan for future funding. The minimum balance of the reserve fund is the minimum amount to have in the reserve fund at any point and is determined during the reserve fund study's financial analysis.